Good evening, everyone. Welcome to FGM eCast, presenting a running late stream of the FGM eCast series, Sprint series here from... Where are we tonight?
I believe we're at Long Beach.
We are indeed at Long Beach. Sorry, just running very, very late here. Sorry about the stuff I did with the stream. Of course, you can hear. Got Scotty back with me again tonight for the first time this year. Welcome, Scotty.
Yeah, long time no see. A lot of time out of action, but hey, look, maybe that adds that little bit of extra excitement. I heard I missed probably one of the best races for a good long while last week out at Bathurst, and
yes,
there's going to be a lot of on-flowing effects, and we jump from what is effectively a street course, but even though it is a bit of a full-time course in Bathurst, over to what is definitely a street course.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and a new course as well to iRacing. So this is the first time we brought a race here. So we have got 20 minutes tonight in this sprint series. Sorry, we're running late. We've actually had yet another server mishap. We're enjoying the joys of using the new UI that iRacing has released, and it is not very stream friendly, if I do say so myself.
Oh yeah, look, you know, benefits, pros and cons for everything. So look, you get on with it. It's racing. You make the best of what you absolutely can. Like, I mean, if a radiator was to get a hole in it and there was a way to patch it and get back out on the track, but you'd have to run at half speed half the time, well, you'd do that because you still want to be out there and running, and it's almost the same with sim racing. I know a fair few of the guys have been looking forward to this round. Long Beach, it's a tricky circuit, but hey, look, the Nash boys are back at it, back out in front, and it's like we've never even taken a break, to be perfectly honest with you.
Absolutely right. Yeah, nothing really has changed since you've been away from us, but certainly glad to have you back here tonight as well. So thanks for jumping on the stream. So let's get on with it. So it is Matty Bowler in first position, Braden Nash. We've got Riley Bilson in third with Julian Lamasina in fourth position. So it is an NSR 1, 2, 3, 4 at the moment. Let's jump back a little bit. We do have mixed class here tonight as well. In saying that we have got a mixture between GT3 and GTE, as we always do. And the field here of 16 cars pretty much evenly split down the middle. So we'll keep an eye on who's doing what in which class at the moment. It is, I believe, Jordan Malcolm. In fact, it's Joshua Fitt leading the GT3 category in the Lamborghini. He's just making his way down Pine Avenue as we speak. Very tight technical circuit, this one. Plenty of concrete for the drivers to avoid. So it's going to be a matter of surviving just as much as it is a matter of being quick.
Well, it's risk management, isn't it? You know, you've just got to do what you can and try and get around. And sometimes, especially in a multi-class race, it's not a track that's conducive to necessarily really tight, really close battles. But at the same time, it definitely is, because, look, the walls are so close, there's so little time, and there's so little places where you can actually get the move done. And when you actually do get a move and it does actually start to happen, it's actually more exciting than anything else when you finally get that run, you manage to get the nose ahead of somebody and look for that overtake. What it does require from all the drivers, and you'll actually see it with the NSR guys, is that they'll have an order, they'll have an agreed running order, and they'll have a way that they want to run away with things at the front of the race. If there's an overtake or somebody makes a mistake, that move will be given, and then pretty much it'll be given straight back. Those guys won't want to race each other because the risk is just so high. The pace, to be able to run so quickly around here, you do have to take a couple of risks, but it's also one of those tracks that, because of the risk level that you're taking, it rewards brilliant driving and consistency as well.
Yeah, absolutely right. And of course, it's being a street circuit, it is not smooth, so there's plenty of bumps to catch you out as well. So you just got to be careful. And as you just quite rightly said, very much a matter of managing the risks of this track versus the reward, and potentially not taking out that win.
Yeah, and there's a few things that I'm interested in, a few things I've sort of got my eyes on so far. Like, the GT3, GTE debate will rage on for time immemorial. You know, do you add a little bit more of a penalty to the GT3 cars to really separate them in terms of pace away from the GTE cars? It's always beneficial in my mind, in both regards. You can add that weight, you can add the power penalty, and I really enjoy the differential between the two classes when it does. But at the same time, I actually also really enjoy it when the classes are stuck together. without any penalties on them. It's just two different kinds of racing. It's something as a driver that you have to adapt to, is any sort of in-series balance of power, whether that be applied by iRacing directly or whether that be applied by series officials. You know, the GTE cars, GT3 cars, they love to race each other. The racing between them is very, very close. And one thing that iRacing, I think, have done very successfully this season is actually built upon the strengths and weaknesses of the cars. It's a lot more pronounced. We go to Bathurst with the Bathurst 12 hour that was just recently, and indeed we saw it here in AEE last week. And all of a sudden, the BMW and the Ferrari in the GT3 class had to have those weight penalties applied and power penalties applied because they've got those turbocharged engines. They were fueling more air at the higher altitudes, and they were getting a much better burn coefficient. More energy was being put through the rear wheels. That meant that their competitors in that class were struggling to keep up. Balance of power gets applied. But having said that, the Ferrari has been an all-round performer. BMW has been very, very difficult to tame, as has the Lamborghini. So look, iRacing, I think, have done a really, really good job this year with getting the balance right in terms of the GT3 and the GTE classes.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, at the moment, this class here, there is no penalty to the GTEs or well, definitely not the GT3s, but to the GTEs. It is an outright run of pace, but we'll have a quick look at the qualifying results between these two races, and I can tell you that some of the GT3 drivers putting in very, very close lap times to the GTEs in front of them.
Yeah, and there's something else to consider as well is, you know, when you've got to let somebody go, when those cars start to catch up onto you, as I'm sure all the NSR guys, they are starting to creep up on the 16th place car in the field. They're getting up towards that back end of the GT3 field. It's something that they'll have to be aware of as well. You know, the cars, it's about straight line speed. That's the only real differential. The size of the GTEs is they're actually slightly larger in terms of the actual space that they take up. It's not much though. It's actually quite close. The Lamborghini as well, quite a long car. So they'll be aware of all these sorts of little things, and there'll be a couple places to get by people. And Stuart, I've known AE for a little while now. I do know that the drivers' briefings are actually quite good in terms of saying, hey, just be aware of the other guys around you. There's a few places to let people go. Be aware of those and really respect them.
Yeah, and here as well, particularly, you can, that's really slow chicane just before we get started here is very much a trick point on the warm-up lap. So, you know, it's a little bit of bump and shove there at the start of this one, but not too bad in terms of the drivers. We're pretty lucky here. It's a pretty clean class, so that hasn't changed between seasons, even with the entrance of a number of new drivers to the series as well since the last time you were with us, Scotty.
Yeah, and look, I'm going to be honest, I'm actually kind of glad that the decision to not include the LMP2 class here has been made. It's tricky enough with two sets of classes out on the circuit. The third class, there was some testing with it in the IMSA classes last season within the iRacing official schedule, and for my liking, it was just a week. I just completely and utterly avoided it. The mistakes, the closing speed, the LMP2s are really, it's difficult to get by. And when somebody's trying to let you go, sometimes they just turn down on your nose because they think that you're not going to go by. It just creates chaos, and there's nothing worse than creating chaos when it doesn't need to be created. So good decision by series officials, and look, I think it's turned out into some good racing. There's quite a few battles that are reasonably close right throughout the field.
Yeah, including right at the front here where the NSR boys, Nash and Bowler, do continue their side-by-side battle that we did see from them in round one as well. So they continue that even on the narrow circuit here, just showing you the level of skill of these two around this track.
Yeah, I was just watching the car in the background as well, flashing the headlights and all those sorts of things.
Riley, so. Yep. Just getting involved with it there, so they continue that. So we'll let them sit up the front and do what they do best. Of course, challenging themselves this series by jumping in the GT Sprint in the M8 BMW, not their typical choice. We used to see them last year in the Porsche, and my goodness, do they make those Porsches go quick with the setups they're managing. I think we did see on a number of occasions last season where the NSR Porsche setup in the RSR 911 was much quicker than the competitors that they were racing against, particularly straight line speed wise. So they took the gamble of jumping into Big Bertha, as she's lovingly known, the big bustling M8, and no surprises there. They've got that tuned up and ready to go too.
Yeah, look, and when you're considering car choices, you do obviously have a look at the tracks they're going to be run. When they would have looked at car selection, I think Long Beach would have been one of the circuits that would have been on their mind, as BMW is probably not necessarily the right car decision to take around Long Beach, just due to the length and breadth of the thing. Bertha is definitely the right name for the car, but hey, look, they're making it work, and all power to them. And not only are they making it work, they're making it work side by side. They're doing a great job, so good job, guys. Keep it up.
Just jumped on here with Tim Russell in the Redback Race Team entry, and he is being harassed, or harassing, I should say. Timothy Russell is being harassed by Jordan Malcolm in the Redback Race Team entry. They're fighting it out at the moment for second and third. We know Geordie struggled a little bit for prep time before round one, so it's good to see him back here. Obviously got the BMW in tune, and he's giving Tim a hurry along.
Yeah, and Jodie's been away at karting nationals a lot lately, so he's been doing reasonably well, or about expected. He's had a couple little failures in terms of karting. This move from Timothy Russell from Redback Racing Team, who would be his stablemate with Geordie right in behind him across to NSR, this has only just come about in the last couple of days. It's actually been a really, really quickly made move, and it's something that he only identified slightly earlier, I believe, this evening. So, look, it's all power to him. I mean, he's having a crack somewhere else, and he's going to have a crack with the NSR boys, and they're going to give him, I think their targets are going to be some of the more lengthy iRacing official events. I'm looking at Spa 24 hours, I'm looking at Nürburgring 24 hours, I'm looking at unnamed 24 hours event in France. For those of you who are not iRacing knowledgeable, iRacing does not have the marketing and the licensing rights to the 24 Hours of Le Mans, so currently it's just referred to as the unnamed 24-hour event in France. That's why.
It's very amusing that hasn't happened yet, but I'm sure they'll get that sorted out. And of course, you might have picked up there that it's that recent that I got between cars there, because normally we would be used to saying Tim Russell in the Redback Race Team car. So
it was confirmed this afternoon. That's how recent it is. So.
Yeah, it's getting to the stage where the NSR team has just exploded. It's 10, 11 cars now, and they're off trying to do other things as well in oval track. So it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's turning into a mammoth. So soon enough, there'll be no one driving for anyone else.
Look, all power to them, and they've started things off on the right foot with AEE. They've had some really good performances. Actually, just keeping your eyes on Russell, gets really loose there coming out of the final turn. Geordie's going to snap that position up. I'm actually just noting a lot of damage on the rear end of Jordan's car. So obviously he's come a grief somewhere with somebody, but he's actually making a lot of time. Joshua Fitt, who's actually ahead of him, he's taken half a second out of him on the last lap around, so it is reasonably close, and he's pushing quite hard. So look, Josh is only 4 seconds up the road. There's a chance that this could turn into a battle here.
Yeah, absolutely, and we can just quickly bring you, Geordie did have an off-track a little earlier on in the event that we didn't see, so I think he's just run wide there, and no, in fact, he was involved, unfortunately, I think, in that start line incident. Yeah, he was, so he's just got a little bit of damage there right at the start, which is unfortunate, as we spoke about at that hairpin. So unfortunate that he got that at the start, but making his way back up through things now.
Honestly, it's one of those awkward corners. It's tough for anyone to really work with. I've run multiple series here in Porsche Cup, P8 Supercars, GT3 events as well, in IndyCar as well. All of them struggle to get through that final corner. To the point whereby I'm always like on the radio, come on guys, let's just go through single file. It's not worth it. You know, there's a long race that's going to be happening afterwards. In this case, there's 2 races coming your way, so that is something that at least these guys will have the option to sort of rebuild their race over. But hey, look, you know, and that's the benefits of this variant format of the Australian Endurance E Championships this time around. There are going to be sprint rounds, there are going to be endurance rounds. It's going to require, again, another different skill set from the drivers. I mean, we're always talk to Chris Purnell about, you know, look, the endurance events, they take a lot out of you. Yeah, they do. But the prep work is, you know, kind of nice and easy. It's a little bit more cruisy, a little bit more laid back. You're just looking for a safe setup. You're just looking to get the car turned in. Your focus is on that lengthy race sort of thing. This season, throwing the sprint format, and this tonight is the first variant that we are seeing on that. this is really starting to evoke some of these more fiery overtakes and really pushing from some of these drivers. Just look at the battle between Timothy and Geordie. Like, that's a perfect example.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did decide to go with the sprint format, basically because iRacing has thrown the kitchen sink at GT3 racing in the off-season, and we wanted to do a little bit more sprint stuff, which a lot of the GT3 drivers prefer. You know, obviously our usual hour 45 to 2 hour endurance racing still happens every fortnight like we did last season. But it also gives us the opportunity to run some of these newer, shorter tracks that just aren't friendly for endurance racing, but certainly for purposes like this 20-minute sprint race, exactly what the drivers want to get exposure to. It gives them more time in the car, and gives us a little bit of variety as well as we make our way through the season.
And variety is the spice of life, you know. And the other thing to consider is that it makes it more available. If you've been sitting back and watching the Australian Endurance Championships and thinking about it across the last few seasons, but maybe an hour 45, 2 hour race length isn't something that's really right up your alley, 2 20-minute races, perfect. You know, get in, have a blast. Maybe something happens and you have to get up and you have to run away and you can't end up doing the fun race in the evening. Look, unfortunate, but at least you're able to jump in, you're able to get out there and have fun. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Absolutely. We're just noticing here that Matty Broom's got himself up in front of Julian Lamasina as well. So he is currently up into 4th position. It is Riley Bison, Matthew Bowler and Braden Nash at front of this group.
Yeah, so interesting to note as well that Braden and Matty have actually managed to pull away slightly in these BMWs, so clearly they're onto something in terms of that race pace in those cars. So, hey, look, maybe there's something we don't know about the Porsche. I was talking to Pete Edwards actually recently about what the difference is in terms of the pace. He was actually mentioning to me that he reckons that BMW, potentially Corvette, potentially Ferrari, might actually have a slight edge over the Porsche, or it's just that close together. And like I was talking about earlier in the piece as well, the variance is the straight line speed. Right now, Corvette is the slowest in a straight line. BMW is pretty medium. Porsche is pretty medium. Ferrari really stretches its legs on a straight line, but it's a little bit washy in the corners. And, you know, so there's different trade-offs and that different feel about cars, especially when you're looking at a GT3 class as well. The difference in driving styles between the Lamborghini and the BMW, it is dramatic.
Yeah, absolutely. We're noticing that in our team. We're running the Lamborghini, trying to get it set up for Sebring. And it is an absolute handful, thing bottoming out everywhere. And we're referring back to the Porsche, which we ran last year, and understanding how much more comfortable that is riding the bumps at Sebring. Obviously, a slightly different category, a class, I should say, within the category, but a different beast to set up. So they've all got their idiosyncrasies.
Riley Bilson just slapped the wall at the end of turn 1, just on the corner exit. I believe we're like basically at white flags. So
we are indeed, yeah.
He's pushing quite hard, which, I mean, he's just slapped the wall again, back to back.
So just trying
so he's got a comfortable margin. I'm not 100% sure why he's pushing, but hey, look, maybe he's trying to shake those gremlins out. He's got a fair sort of comfortable margin around himself right now, and he was looking to really just say, all right, look, okay, this race is over. Let's throw this one in the books. Let's get it out of the way. But at the same time, let's really find those margins. What are these tires capable of at the back end of the race, so we can have a real crack in the closing stages of race number 2?
Absolutely. As we get through here to the end of the race, the checkered flag has come out, and it is going to be Braden Nash who's going to take out the win here for NSR Motorsport, followed by Matty Bowler, and Riley Bilson is going to come home in 3rd. Joshua Fitt looks like he's going to come through with the GT3 win, and it will be followed by Jordan Malcolm and Timothy Russell at this stage. There's enough of a gap there. In fact, it's pretty close between Jordan and Tim, so we'll jump back and have a quick look at that, see if there's any last-minute passing going on. I think Geordie might have this one pretty sewn up. As he's just clattered the wall there as well. Timothy Russell pushing, trying to make up this position. They come down towards the end of this lap. And the gap there is just going to be a little bit too much. Of course, not tons of passing opportunities on this track. Very similar to our Gold Coast circuit here. If you're looking for comparison, let's come around the final corner. And they'll get that out there, and that will stay as it is. So it is going to be Josh Fitt with Jordan Malcolm and Timothy Russell as your 3 cars.
That's a great comparison. I've never actually thought of it in the same vein as Gold Coast.
Well, actually, you know what? If we were to probably go even closer, it's probably even more similar to Newcastle. But, of course, a circuit that not as many are familiar with.
I would stick with the Gold Coast. Like, if you think about it, one of the major overtaking opportunities at the Gold Coast, down into turn 1, it's got this sort of chicane up in and around the roundabout, you know, so there's that. But Newcastle's got a lot more of the left, right, left, right, left, right, but doesn't have necessarily some of the tight corners that the Gold Coast has. So it's kind of, it's like it's in the middle kind of perfectly, isn't it?
Yeah,
So it fits in
absolutely.
there really nicely. All right. Interesting thing to note. I love actually really talking about the warm-ups in between. So for those of you who don't know, within iRacing, when you do actually have to run a heat-based format, which is run a little warm-up session in between. Really, really good opportunity. Any series that you actually run with standing starts, that's what I expect drivers to be getting out of the pit lane and doing. In this period, what I actually want to be doing is going around, having a look at the last corner and really having a look at where can I sort of try and let people go. What does the left-hand side of the run look like? Where am I going to be starting? Let's try and set up that initial starting period, and then let's go from there. Because we definitely saw it in the last race. There was a lot of chaos in the starting pit lane, not pit lane. Well, it is kind of the pit lane entry sort of area, but also that last corner, just the chaos and shenanigans. It's tough. It's very, very difficult to get away cleanly here at the start at Long Beach, and it's one of the big, big quirks of the track. Honestly, I don't go for an overtaking move in the final corner. I don't expect to get through it there too wide under pacing. So let's see how the drivers handle it this time around, whether there's any tweaks and what the go-to for them is.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're spot on with that last section of the track there. It's really difficult here to engineer a pass, so qualifying is extremely important. And definitely a time now for you to just check those margins and maybe have a look at what you can do a little differently to make your way to the front of the field if you need to. Fortunately, not too much damage out of race 1 there, so we're going to see with our starting grid, a lot of the drivers are going to be able to get to do what they need to do.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, drivers that I'm really looking forward to looking to try and progress themselves further up the grid is Michael Spedhill. From my understanding, he's had a very, very rough start to this season. That is unlike Spiddy. Normally, he's right thereabouts. Sebastian Murray-Wesberg and Jordan Malcolm both on the same team, Redback Racing Team. Normally, you would expect Spiddy to probably be the front runner of those 3. Now, from my understanding, Geordie's actually gone the highest finish from that team and backed it up again so far today. In sprint race number 1. So Spiddy needs to really find some consistency. There's something going wrong there for Spiddy. He's struggling somehow. I know that he's going through a few changes in his life. I feel like he had to pack up the sim just recently and then unload it again and sort of get everything set up. So he did take a week off of a couple of other leagues that he's actually running in. So whether or not that's still trickling through and there's still some gremlins in his setup and tweaks that he needs to make, but this is very uncharacteristic for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely one of the more consistent performers last season as well, challenging for the top. So, you know, it is what it is. At the end of the day, he will definitely be back. You don't lose the skill. And if you just had to pack up the sim rig, that's a job that I don't envy anyone. It's a time-consuming process as well with a lot of these sim rigs. Very elaborate, shall we say. So we look forward to seeing him get back to his usual self. Generally running with Seb, of course, and running up the front as we normally see.
Yeah, and look, I mean, if he's had to pull the rig to bits, it's the same as, you know, pulling a car to bits. When you slap it all back together, things aren't gonna be quite the same. So you need to figure it out. Am I just gonna have to deal with this? What's something that I can change? Where's the toggle? Can I, you know, filter this in halfway? So he'll be looking for a couple of those adjustment points. I'm sure he's still settling back in. But he'll get back there, and that's the quality of a driver like Spiddy. You know, 1 or 2 rounds out of the way of things, like you mentioned, challenge for championships last season. He'll find his way back in. Is it going to be too late for him to try and have a crack at that championship? That's the key factor for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So just for those of you who are familiar with the series, we have split the structure this year. So we do have a GT Enduro and GT Sprint championship. Exactly what Scotty's mentioning there is a split championship. In fact, there's effectively 4 champions to be announced at the end of these 2 series with GT3, GTE, and also that for both sprint and endurance. So He early on the season so far, it's only round 2. He's still got plenty of time, and it's a reasonably long season, 7 rounds, so there's every chance he can get back up and compete at the top, and if not, there is always Season 2 2021, which will obviously follow on from this one. Do have to mention as well, Scotty, since last time you joined us, we do have AJ Insurance Services who've jumped onto the stream as a sponsor. Joe Daly, a big participant in the iRacing scene, and fortunate enough for him to jump on to this stream as a streaming partner for us. So welcome to him, along with Bridgestone Select and our usual virtual motorsport mentor, Chris Purnell, and the team.
And don't forget, guys, like, this is part and parcel of everything. Like, if we don't have any of these guys that aren't supporting us, then we're not going to really be able to put this sort of a show on, this sort of a level, this sort of a structure. So it's a big shout out to all of our supporters, and it's so good to see the series growing as well, you know, going from strength to strength. So if you have a look at the field, like, it's nearly the 2-color show, isn't it? You got RRT and NSR kind of dominating both classes, but there's still the Polito brothers. Unfortunately, it looks like they're not having the best season this time out. I believe they're all actually in the GT3 class this season. Correct me if I'm wrong, Stuart.
Yeah, absolutely. So they've jumped out of the M8 BMW directly into the M4 GT3 prototype. So a brand allegiance maintained, but vehicle change for them this season.
Hey, look, you know, maybe things just weren't working out for them the way that they wanted last time out. I know that the pink Porsche was probably one of my favorite sights on the grid any single time I rocked up to AEE. But hey, look, now it's a red and black Polito Brothers BMW. So
absolutely,
look, can't be too upset with that.
And what we have done here, just Race Control has announced that the cars are to single file through this final corner here, so that will be a change on last time. So a little bit of an advantage there for Braden Nash finishing in first position. Single file, they'll form up now side by side as they get onto the straight, and that will then signify racing when we go green. Everyone starting on the green lights, and we're off and running with the green flag. We're going, look, 4 wide, 3 wide down the front straight here as we head down into turn 1. And it is that NSR show again, just looking to get down through in this corner. What are we there? 3 wide. Looks 4 wide, but it's not 3 wide down. Is everyone going to make it through? There's a little bit of bumping in the background I can hear, and it looks like Michael Spithill, Tim Russell, Phil Polito, Sebastian Murray Westberg potentially getting into an incident there. We'll go back and have a look at that once we get through this first lap.
Spitty's managed to get himself running back and having a lot of troubles. Look, I mean, like we said, it's just that's not the way that he normally runs. Now he's a long way back there. He's the least influenced by that accident in turn 1. He's going to be still up against it, trying to fight his way back through the field. And remember, this is one of the quirks of shorter races. You don't have as much time to really fight your way back and grab as much positions. He's managed to grab 1 back, so we'll see how he goes from here.
Let's jump back and have a quick look at the replay there of the start. Was in fact on the race down into that first corner there, just out braking a little bit. It looks like he's run into the back of Phil Polito, and that's affected 2 of the NSR cars there as well in Timothy Russell. So not ideal for them, but can happen. Cold tyres, obviously turn 1 as well.
I mean, it just depends. Like, it depends. He's obviously had a bit of a bad race 1, so he's out of sync, he's out of sequence. He could be much faster than these guys. Could have locked a brake. The car starts pitching and turn. Yeah. Honestly, just having a look at that, he's probably looking for his braking mark to be just a little bit deeper, and it's just once he's on the brakes, there's nothing he can do because the car in front's slowing down. He just keeps closing. That's life, unfortunately.
Absolutely, and that's what happens, unfortunately, when the night's not necessarily yours, and you do end up starting that a little bit further back than you used to.
I'll tell you what, that Lamborghini, though, how beautiful is the engine note that comes out of that thing? One of my favorite sounds on iRacing.
Not gonna lie, we were a little bit underwhelmed. Just a little bit underwhelmed. The BMW, of course, sounds strong as well. We thought they might have done a little bit more. There you go. It's only been, what are we, 28 minutes into our first comm job back together, already disagreeing. It's good. I love it. Welcome
somebody
back.
Coughing into the microphone sounds more beautiful than the sound of the BMW going down the straight.
But it does sound very BMW. I don't know. I just expected the Lambo to sound a little bit more throaty than it does. But, you know, look, I'm assuming that iRacing will have recorded that right from the mouth of Babes, and it'll be as accurate as it can be. So
You got to remember, when was the last time you actually heard a Lamborghini live? And a lot of the microphones that do record that sort of thing, they're not the best quality microphones. So maybe, oh, there's another accident at the hairpin as well. Michael Spithill just made a move there. I believe it was on Andre Cortez, and Cortez had to back the car right off, stop it pretty much on the racing line. Joshua Olchin just gets locked up into them. Tim Russell's involved. But what that has allowed is Sebastian Murray Wesberg to just catch up on the rear end of this pack.
Yeah, just stopping there on the hairpin, trying to do the right thing and avoid an incident, but unfortunately in doing so, causing one as well. So sometimes you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Oh, it's one of those incidents. Like, there's not much in it. There's no malice in it. That much is certainly for sure.
Yeah, absolutely right. So at the moment, just running back through the pack here, it is, I believe, we're looking at Jordan Malcolm leading the GT3 category at the moment, ahead of Joshua Fitt. This battle has resumed and is looking very tasty as Jordan is just under pressure here. Josh managing to get down the inside. He's going to be in the preferred line for the switchback. Just not quite able to keep position there in the BMW. The Lamborghini then managing to move over and shut the door a little bit deep there. Going through the last corner, not quite opening the gate for Jordan Malcolm, so he does move into second position. Joshua Fitt takes over the lead of the GT3 race.
Yeah, look, closing stages of the last race, Geordie was faster with the damaged car than Joshua Fitt. This one's going to fight its way all the way through this race, so don't just think this move is going to be done and it's going to be over and done with. No, it's going to be a lot more than that. Geordie will fight back.
Absolutely. So it is an open category here, so setup is free. There is no minimum, or maximum I should say, no minimum, I was right, there is no limitation on fuel here, so it is an outright 20-minute sprint race. Calculate your fuel levels, get the car set up and go. So the BMW perhaps a little bit stronger in the latter part of the race on a lower tank. I know the Lamborghini can be a little bit of a handful when it's light.
Yeah, it's something that I was actually playing around with prior to the lead up to the Bathurst 12 hour as well. There's two different ways that you can really go with your setup. You can go with a higher fuel setup, which means that you're going to be good for about the first sort of 50, 60, 70% in terms of fuel run. The way that you're going to generate that is you're going to raise the rear ride height a little bit, create a little bit of rake. What that does is put a little bit more of the weight of the car over the front. But then once the fuel load does burn off and the weight shifts away from the rear of the car, it's all about tank placement as well. A lot of that weight is going to transition off of the rear of the car. All of a sudden, those rear tires don't have the weight on them that they really kind of want to keep the car glued to the ground. So you can offset that. You can go in the other direction, raise the front ride height a little bit, sink the rear of the car down a little bit. You can also alternatively, so make a change to raise it at the front, lower it at the rear. Does exactly the same thing when we're talking about rake. And maybe he's just a little bit skittish, not happy. The BMW does take a little bit to sort of work into its stint as well. I know that the tank in it is in the rear of the car, and like I said, I don't like the sound of it, so that's about as much time I've ever spent in the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. As said, idiosyncrasies of each of the cars, and you know, people think it's a matter of getting in and driving them. It absolutely is not the case. There's plenty of hours get spent setting up these cars week in, week out for these rounds. Yeah, gets pretty competitive even amongst the setup between the cars.
Oh, just having a quick look, the GTE guys of NSR have just caught up to the first of the back marker.
Just watching that there, as you can see there, Riley Bilson just going through on Phil Polito, who's back out on track after that early incident. So it is Nash, Bowler and Bilson at the moment at the front of the GTE category. Pretty much got it all to themselves, so they're basically doing another practice run here tonight.
Yeah, talking about Nash and Bowler, they've had an amazing off-season, actually. Bathurst 12 hour was a very, very happy hunting ground for these guys. They ran a BMW, they did run in the OSR Bathurst 12 hour. I believe they finished top 5 in that. I think they may have gotten disqualified for driver number hours because the OSR Bathurst 12 hour runs on a custom rule set. So that's one of the quirks of it. It's actually quite good. They're really, really well run, that one. So they were doing quite well there, ran into some trouble. Look, that's part and parcel of it, but I have a feeling they're in the same split as Max Verstappen as well in the official 12 hour. And again, we're right up the front in terms of pace. So what you're looking at from these guys and the dominating performances that they actually put in week to week, these guys are right at the pinnacle in terms of Australian sim racing. So keep that in the back of your mind. Matty Bowler, if you ever want to talk to and you ever want to hang out with anyone within the sim racing community, Matty Bowler is actually one of the guys that is just so approachable, so easy to talk to. He's kind of like the Craig Lowndes of sim racing. And the best part is he actually runs a sim racing photography business as well. So
Yeah, he does
look,
indeed. Bowler media.
He does a phenomenal job. Like, Matty, I always have time for Matty Bowler.
Well, he's driving it well again tonight. Of course, Max Verstappen doing an unbelievable job in qualifying in that race you talk about. I did a 2:01.
Yeah. No, it was a 2-minute flat. It was
no,
a 2-minute
flat. Yeah, sorry, it was 2 minute and like 2-minute flat 0.6 or something astonishing like that. So they certainly are running in a steam company there with Max Verstappen.
And not only to run an esteemed company, but to just sort of back themselves in. Like, great job, guys. Like, you really just have to clap their hands and go, man, that's a job really well done. So, look, Matty Broom, I actually had the pleasure of running the Daytona 24-hour with Matty. He puts a lot of time in. He's one of those real grinder kind of drivers. He's the kind that will sit down and he will put lots and lots and lots of laps in. He'll offer slight tweaks to the car. Setup of the car is not really his forte. It does work quite well. He gives really good feedback to his teammates around him. And that is one of his strengths. But if you want somebody who's going to show up and you're going to throw a setup at them and you want them to turn a bunch of laps, Broomy every day of the week. And he's got another one of those ones that's really funny, really cool to hang out with. He makes you feel welcome and at home in the car.
Which is what you need, particularly when you're running those really long races. It's a matter of making sure that not only are the drivers that you're running with reasonably similar to you in style and the way you like the car set up, but they're good people to hang around because it's a long time.
He's adaptable as well. Like, not necessarily, you could just throw a setup at him and just say, hey, Matty, go turn 100 laps. He's going to turn 100 laps. The first 50 of those, he's going to adjust to the car, and then he's good. But that's just because of the kind of the guy he is, so...
Just looking here, talking about Redback race team, Michael Spithill putting pressure on Res Polito through the final corner there. There's just 3/10 between them in the Lambo and the BMW. So Spitty looking to try and make his way back up through the GT3 field after that early incident.
Do we have any updates from race control about what went on with that first corner incident? Was it just a racing incident?
In the first race?
In this race.
No. So at the moment, with race control, it is post-race.
Okay. Which is fair enough. Like, that way it's really consistent. One of the things that I always have a problem with whenever I'm watching real life, especially sprint racing, is penalties handed out in race versus penalties handed out post-race. In race, if you cop the penalty, you serve the penalty, you do drive-through, there's no way to have that penalty reverted whatsoever.
Yeah,
penalty's done. There's nothing you can do. And whereas post-race penalties, you've got an option to sort of have it revoked and appeal it, etc.
Absolutely, and that's the point. So with the race control that we've got here, it's about getting it right, not about getting it done. So post-race is absolutely the way we've always done it, but this year, for the first year, we've got an independent arbiter for that, as opposed to in the past where it's been done by the series organisers.
Yeah, sweet. Look, what a drive from Spitty as well to not only... He's just the master of it. You get to the chaos in lap one. Look, you try and avoid that whenever you can, but it is part of racing. If you're going to be out there, you're going to be racing, got the elbows out. At some point, you're going to come to grief with somebody unless you literally get out of everybody's way every single race and every single time you race somebody. If you do that, you're probably not enjoying your racing. Gets out there. Unfortunately, the chaos in turn one ensues, as it always does at Long Beach. It's again, part and parcel of Long Beach. But he's got himself back into the action. He's made multiple overtakes now. In the last couple laps, he's taken off 2 positions. He's got past Res Polito. He also got past Cam Jones. So really good job from Spitty. Oh, I was just talking about him. Commentator's curse. He gets loose.
Yeah, but he's still in control. He's going to move away here and move himself back up into 4th position. It's about 7 seconds down on Ron Polito, so that is a big gap to address in 8 minutes of racing. But should be able to shore himself up in 4th position, a good recovery. Yeah,
something, just keeping my eyes on battles right throughout the field. Ron Polito looks like he might actually be slowly creeping up on Jordan Malcolm. So whatever the damage was in the first race, maybe it was working in Jordy's favor. But this is a really, really good drive from Ron. He's in 3rd place in the GT3 field. Josh Fitt has slowly just sort of driven away from Jordy. He's got himself a really comfortable 5-second margin. 8 minutes to go. This is going to be difficult for Jordy to defend. He's weak in Sector 1, and he's weak in Sector 3. So in my timing sheets, the lap's broken up into 4 sectors. So it's that second and that final sector. So he's really nailing the last corner is what that says to me. And he's struggling to get the car to turn in and then get on the power, whereby there's all these 90-degree corners. It seems to be where he's struggling.
Yeah, absolutely. So Josh Fitt here has things pretty much under control at front. He's opened up a 6-second gap on Jordan Malcolm, but you're quite right. That BMW not as strong in the second half of this race as it was beforehand, so perhaps something there to look at in the data after the race.
I tell you what, Ron Polito's actually driving absolutely insanely right now. Spitty's obviously just gotten past Rez behind him, so he won't have the brothers' defense in his rearview mirror. 6 seconds is the margin, so it's nearly a second a minute that Spitty's going to have to make up to really be able to have a crack. And where he seems to be really strong is actually sectors 1 and sector 3, because I'm just watching the differences in the times between a few of the guys across the sectors. It seems to be that consistent margin. Sector 1, sector 3 are where he's strong. So maybe there's some issues with the final corner. It's really tricky to tame, because if you get it slightly wrong, you lose 2, 3, 4 tenths very, very easily.
Yeah, so they'll be assessing one another's strengths and weaknesses as they head around the track, but the gap is closing rapidly.
He's going to be in the toe. He's actually in the toe right now, which means that the first sector margins, they're going to be even closer. So, I don't know. If Geordie's taking it easy, that's not like Geordie. If anyone knows Geordie, it's probably me, like out of most people. So, he doesn't take it easy. He likes to push it every single lap of the race. Like I said, he's been away at karting championships a lot recently. He was actually one of the first drivers that I saw spending a lot of time on Long Beach when it initially come out. He was one of the first guys, GT3 cars straight there. IMSA went there, he was there. He was practicing the weeks leading up to it. He wanted to really get his head around it. So it's really puzzling that he hasn't been able to create the space. I'm just having a quick look at a couple of his lines. So coming onto the back straight right about now, not necessarily that right-hander, but the left-hander before it. There's a couple different ways you can really drive that corner. It's probably one of the corners that has the most variance in it, because pretty much everything else is bog standard. There's one sort of line through it, and there's one fast line. It's about whether or not you can nail that line. But the left-hander before the right-hander coming onto the back straight, I'm going to have to get corner names up in a moment. You can drive it nice and tight, a really late apex, keep it across the left-hand side of the road. Benefits, you can get back onto the power a little bit earlier, and there's nowhere near the bumps. The wider line, so a little bit of a tighter entry, turn a little bit earlier, can't quite get back to full throttle as early, carry a little bit more speed through the corner, which means you're not as vulnerable in that exit stage, and, actually, we might actually see a change for position.
Phil just with the, Ron there, just with the wrong line, trying to get that done. Not quite, maybe next time around.
So you'll see it as we come up to it. So there's corners 2, 3 back there, I believe, in the roundabout. Corner 4 or 5, we're corner 6 now. So it's the next corner down here. This next left-hander, if you flow it a little bit wider, you carry a little bit more entry speed, but your exit speed sort of falls off a little bit and there's bumps. There's a lot of risk when you run that line. So see if you can get it turned in a little bit better. The yellow lines are what you're really looking at in that section, the turning lanes in the middle of the road. So if you can keep it about there, that's about as wide as you really want to get. So Geordie's running it a little bit wider than that, trying to carry a little bit more speed, but the bumps are right there on the corner exit.
So I guess Phil will be sitting there at the moment. Sorry, Ron, I keep saying Phil. Ron will be sitting there at the moment trying to work out how he's going to get the job done and move up this position. So he'll be watching where Geordie does things a little bit differently to him and seeing if there's an opportunity. Very difficult place to pass.
Yeah, Phil Polito, of course, running down. Unfortunately, running at the very back of the field, 1 lap down, so not the best second race for him tonight. But look, if Ron's going to get this move done, it's probably going to be down into turn 1. Like I said, sectors 1, sectors 3. They appear to be where he's fast. Geordie's taking a very defensive line, covering it off, but he's not quite close enough that time through. And what that means for Ron is he's going to be that much closer at the end of this first sector.
Absolutely, and for those wondering at the front, it is still Nash, Bowler and Bilson leading this race. It's blown out to about a second, so just pretty comfortable up the front there for the NSR boys.
Yeah, so look, I mean, they're at it again. They're up to their old tricks. They're up to their old tricks of really nailing the setup. They did have a few setup qualms, as did most of the drivers when the GTE cars got their changes mid-season, towards the back end of last season. But look, they rode it the best. They come away at Le Mans. The very, very famous victory of theirs where they were all weaving down the straights at Le Mans. Look, moments in motorsport, moments in sim racing, that's definitely right up there and among them. But they got their setup right, as they've done here again tonight. It's a tricky track to set up the car for. You've got to make sure that the suspension's soft enough to ride those bumps well, to ride those curbs well, but you still need the car to turn at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. The bumps are the things that are difficult to master with these cars, just making sure that the car doesn't bottom out as part of the setup, and you talked about it before in terms of ride height and pitch as well, so plenty to consider to get these things to go quick.
He doesn't want to offer that tone, does Malcolm? And I tell you what, just because these guys have been fighting and defending so heavily, Geordie goes even more defensive. He goes even earlier to the inside of the road. He's compromising himself. Have a look in the background. Guess who's cruising right on up to this? It's going to be a three-way fight for second, third, fourth.
So Michael Spithill on his way, able to run very much quicker than the two cars in front of him. In fact, just over a second and a half last lap. He's going to really have to make work of it, though. Oh, it's Ron has a big slide there. And that's going to cost him, that's going to give Geordie a breath of fresh air. And it is going to mean, in fact, that we need to switch back one and have a look at Ron Polito now. He's going to have to defend from Michael Spithill to maintain that position in third.
Yeah, look, a little bit moment. It's part, like we were talking about the bumps around here. Yeah, that's the bumps well and truly. Basically, the car crests the hill and the curb's on the inside. You're riding bumps and the crest of the hill at the same time when you cut across that inside curb. Too aggressive on the gas. There's not enough weight on the rear of the car at that point in the track. We saw Spitty do it earlier in the race. Very easy to make a mistake there. He's caught it well, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So, got 1:22 to go here. In fact, he's still just got to do the work. Polito to keep him out, keep third position. Fit there well and truly out in the distance. As you can see, Jordan Malcolm coming through there on screen. Ron Polito and Michael Spithill following him through. So we've got a minute to go. We are going to get one more lap after this one with it. Race leader Braden Nash currently 2/3, nearly completed his 15th lap. So there will be one more after this. How is this going to end out? You can see there it's quite close, but it is really going to be between Polito and Spithill in terms of who's going to take out third position on the podium.
These two guys right behind Geordie are actually faster. You can see it. Geordie's still coming back to these guys even whilst they're fighting. Spitty wants to send it down the inside, throws the fake, takes his regular line. Watch him try and do the over-under. Doesn't quite get it. That's really good defending from Rez there. Sorry, was it Ron? Now Spitty's going to send it down the inside. This is going to be so close. Let's go on the exit.
And there's a change for the lead there as well as... do we have... Was that Joshua Fitt? No, I don't believe it was.
No, I believe it was a lapped car.
It was Alchin, Joshua Alchin. And there will be, I'm sure, a look into that incident at the end of the race. Hopefully just a racing incident deemed. Didn't look too much like it. There was a double move there, though, potentially from Polito in defending as they head down into that corner. So it'll be interesting to see how that one is adjudged.
Neither of them are going to make the corner from that line, though. Like, you have to...
That's
it's normally a second or third gear corner, so you'd have to slow it right down because it's like trying to park a car, right? To get in there, you're going to have to be in first gear. You're going to have to be in second gear right at the bottom of the rev range. These are racing cars. They've got more turn than your regular race car, and they're still going to have to be that slow. Both drivers, both at fault. Racing incident. Spitty redressed it because he was the one that made the contact. Game on. I think this is for third place now. Yeah,
absolutely. I like that call. So... let's see how this one concludes. Oh, there's the lap traffic almost gets in the way. That has affected Ron's run in. Even Spithill tries to get down the inside. See whether or not he gets that done. I think he's going to be able to get it done. Wow, as there's a car flipping over the fence there in the background. That's actually our race winner. And the battle remains here. Spithill on the outside. He's going to get the preferred line down into this corner. It is a sprint race between the BMW and the Lamborghini. And it looks like Spithill, he's going to get that done. Ron Polito there, unfortunately, does move into fourth position. We've still got one long stretch to go here before the slowest corners. Is there anything Polito can do about it?
Look, I think he's done. There's not really an overtaking move left in the track. He's right there. He's still on the shot. Look, Spitty's still going to get the power on, but I think he's too good for that. He's gone wide at the last corner on the corner entry there. I had my heart in my mouth for just a moment. But he caught it nicely, so that's a really good rear of the grid to front of the good drive from Spithill. Absolutely, and good racing from there from Polito as well. Just a little bit affected by that lap traffic, but a great battle between the two drivers, and they will join us in the combox post-race here for a chat. Look, Spitty's just taking in the sights, sounds, and views of the gorgeous Long Beach circuit. And apparently, Braden Nash's Porsche has decided that it's much, much better parked on the fence. Yeah, so Braden's BMW there deposited up on top of the fence.
So we've BMW even. So we've just got our top three, the GTE category. It is an NSR 1, 2, 3 again. Nash, Bilson, and Bowler there in the GTE for GT Sprint. And we've got the team with us now, boys. Congratulations! A little bit of a procession tonight, but still managing to get around without any incident.
Yeah, it was a good race. It was really enjoyable.
Excellent.
Riley,
thanks for that.
Fresh face to the team. How is it settling into these guys? Because obviously Braden and Maddie have been racing around each other for a fair bit of time. Obviously very successful during the Bathurst 12-hour. Obviously not line honours, not right up there at the very, very pointy end, but the cars right throughout both the OSR 12-hour and the official 12-hour. He's had pace, just not quite able to get the results that you needed. How has it been settling into the team? Tell us about Bathurst. Talk to us all.
Hey?
Yeah,
yes,
Riley, go nuts, man.
Yeah, no, Bathurst I missed, actually. I was away. But no, the boys are awesome, awesome help, just, yeah. Can't thank them enough.
Excellent. Well, that's a good start for you anyway, getting the second position away tonight on what can be a difficult track. Obviously, Concrete Canyon, nice and bumpy, so obviously got the Porsche set up pretty well controlled there, and we know that the guys are masters at getting the Porsche to do what it needs to do in a racing format. So a good result there.
Most importantly, Spitty, do you want to ask Nash what he was doing, or should I do that?
I'll let you take it, Scott.
Nash, can you actually outline for us how well the BMW M8 GT does as a Christmas tree ornament, hanging it from the fence there?
It's really good. Yeah, I can't see it. I'm still sitting in it. All I see is this bald fella behind me cheering me on. But yeah, no, it's nice up here, looking at Long Beach with a different view.
No, and it takes a certain kind of talent to land a car on a fence like that. So, again, just mastering the arts as required for the series. So well done on that one.
Yeah, thank you. The boys knew I put extra fuel in for the burnout, so they made sure I couldn't do it.
I made sure he wasn't making it.
Yeah, no, that's good. Absolutely. No, we don't need to see any more of that action. And as you say that as well, Scotty, of course, we do have the GT3 race winners with us as well. In fact, I better drag Josh into the room. It's a bit rude to leave him sitting out there in the cold. Sorry about that, Josh. So we do have Josh, Geordie, and Michael in the room with us as well. GT3 sprint winners. I'm still struggling tonight with all of the crap that went on with the broadcast, but we'll get that underway. So, Josh, a really strong run from you across both races.
Yeah, it was good to, I guess, just string two races together without putting it in the fence. It's a pretty difficult track out there, and you've got to keep your concentration, so I was pretty happy with that. Normally that's my sort of weakness, so it was good to get through unscathed. Yeah,
absolutely. And the Lamborghini, how did you go with setup this week, particularly a particularly bumpy track? And we were speaking about it, Scotty, during the commentary about how difficult that car can be to get to ride the bumps.
Yeah, I tried to sort of, I guess, avoid the curbs where I could. I don't sort of play with the setups too much. I just sort of drive it to, I guess, what it does. And being nice and sort of steady on the throttle over the bumps, I guess, is the biggest thing for me, which I learned probably a couple of months ago to really focus on that. So it's been a big help. Fantastic. And Geordie as well, a couple of good results for you too on the back of a lack of prep time as well. We did note at the damage, unfortunately, that you copped with the race start in race one. Seemed to have actually improved the pace of your BMW against the late race pace in race two.
No, I don't think the damage helped me in race one. But classic me, running over too many curbs. So it got a little bit of engine damage, which cost me in straight line speed. So
that would explain it. We went for the more obvious,
Geordie, how many times have we been through this, mate? Sausage curbs and raised curbs. You cannot drive over them.
You can to a degree.
Yeah. We're approaching 100 times or something like that now. So it's been a fair bit, yeah.
Congratulations, mate. Really good result coming off the back of what's not necessarily been the easiest week for you in terms of Nationals karting.
Yeah, not the greatest, running through the grass, but oh well. good to
At
come
least-
back to AEE and put her on the podium for 2 races. So
I was talking to Geordie yesterday, and he said to me about the only time he made it on the Australian AKR Australian Kart Racing Championships or whatever it's called. The only time he actually made it out there on stream was when he was running through the grass avoiding another kart. So.
And Michael, a good result for you coming from the rear of the field. Unfortunately, getting involved in a little bit of stuff at the start there, but managing to drive the Lambo back to 3rd position.
Yeah, the practice really threw us off. But yeah, I kind of think, I'm not sure what happened at the start there, but yeah, it was interesting. And then right at the end, I think it was Ron Polito I was battling with at the end. I tagged him on the second last lap and let him go and then battled him all the last lap.
Yeah, it was, Ron. A good, fair drive from both of you there, nice and close together. To be brutally honest, we didn't think either of you were going to make that corner, so it was good that you were able to keep going and redress and have another crack at it and ultimately get the pass done.
Yeah, it was good.
Mate, how did you go resetting up the sim rig? Because you obviously had that pulled down to bits. Is there still any lingering gremlins? Any of these guys should be worried once you actually get back to full speed?
No, it's all fully set up, so what you see now is what you're going to get.
Right, so it's going to be a lot of mistakes for the rest of the season, so there's no excuses then, mate.
Yeah.
Now, cop that.
You should know.
Scott comes back to commentary and just basically shoots everyone that's managed to make their way into the com box.
Everyone in the foot.
Most importantly, myself. To be fair.
There you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed your success tonight and the drive-by that you got on the way to the podium. Braden, obviously starting with NSR, mate, we might just get one of you guys to talk about everything that's all over your vehicles.
It's green.
He has no idea.
Just want to share.
Do we Phoenix window tinting? Any of that? Do you need us to help you?
I know the stickers that are on there, but yeah, thanks to Brocky, Phoenix window tinting. Thanks to Matty, Bowler Media. I think that's about it.
MV2.
Would you like to take over?
Matt, I think
thanks to Sim Setup.
And Stu as well for hosting the stream. Come on.
Oh yeah, no, there's plenty.
Stu.
There's plenty to thank for tonight's stuff up. It's been one of my less memorable nights, and it pretty much caps off the week for me. But that's okay. It's only Wednesday. Plenty to look forward to for the balance of it, based on how it started. And we'll jump into the and again, congratulations, you guys, a lockout again, a good result. We've got plenty of work to do to get some more cars into the GTE category over the next 2 weeks, and we'll set about doing that because, to be brutally honest, I'm sick of seeing you all at the front in the nicest possible way, but we wanted to get someone up there to challenge
We
you.
can get more NSR cars in there.
Oh, we were talking about that during the stream as well. Basically, I'm going to have to change the setup of the broadcast so that it matches your color coding because it'll just make it fit together.
You're just going to have to call it NSR and RRT stream.
Yeah, well, I could do that as well.
Does anyone have Max Verstappen's number? I hear he's free for a sim racing drive.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
I have his Discord, if that helps.
A fitting segue across to Geordie and Josh and Michael. So, actually, Josh, we'll start with you, obviously, as the race winner.
I'd just like to thank you guys for putting on the stream. It's my only real sponsor, I guess, and without you guys putting it on, we don't get to have the fun tonight. So thank you for everything again, and look forward to next week.
No worries at all. You're more than welcome. Geordie, Michael.
Would like to thank Bar Repairs, RMS Race Management Services, Bowler Media, PJ
PJR, Pat Junior Racing, yeah.
You guys.
Worm Paints for our awesome skins,
special-
and you guys for hosting this.
Yeah, and a special shout out to Dan.
I was going to say
company tonight.
And Tony Cut.
No, just Dan.
What about white helmets?
Tonight spotting me.
One of his favourite fans is not a fan of white helmets. So this is a shout out to Armand. Armand, if you're listening, Geordie drives with a white helmet.
Oh, wow. Okay, so again, just to drive lights on the way through. So we're going to get off the stream and end the night. Again, gentlemen, sorry for the stuff up in the setup. The UI has got the better of me. We're going back to the old UI for next round because I'm sick and tired of the issues, and that goes for everybody out there in streaming land. Our stream, of course, starting earlier tonight at 7:30, and that was absolutely accidental. So if you did miss out on the coverage, apologies in advance for that. There will be replays on our YouTube channel if you are wanting to get on and have a watch of the race, and obviously we will be back next week with AEE Enduro, next fortnight for AEE GT Sprint. But that does bring our week on the stream to an end. Scotty, it's been fantastic having you back, mate, to be brutally honest. I have missed your input into our stream, so hopefully we can get you with a little bit more time and get you back into the AEE swing of things, because we would welcome you.
Oh, 100%. And look, it's good to be back. You know, probably one of the most... I mean, look at the interviews. The interviews are so much fun here, the lightheartedness and everything. And thanks to you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to partake and get myself back into the commentating business with AEE last year, and on to 2021, and on to many, many years yet to come.
Yeah, absolutely. So welcome back, and we've got our next stream is on Monday night. Thankfully, this is the last for us for the week. It's been a tumultuous one for our stream, but next week we're back with Ant's Car and the Truck Series, which we've enjoyed bringing so far, off to round 7 already for that one, and then Tuesday Oz Pro Am Sim Series for their round 1 official after a whopping 43 car grid last night at Phillip Island. So there's plenty to come on the channel next week as we continue to roll it out. Don't forget, on the first... I'm really struggling. On the 8th of April, we also will be broadcasting for the very first time the Ant's Car Cup Series as well. So that will expand our stream out to Thursday nights. We'll get to bring you the main game in addition to the development series for Ant's Car. So looking forward to that one in the build-up. We're working in the office on the stream and some other bits and pieces to change it up for you, which unfortunately was the cause for some of the issues that we've had this week. So once again, apologise to you all. Thank you for your support and tuning in, and we will get it right. That is absolutely sure. Scotty, thank you to you, and enjoy the balance of your week. We will touch base, no doubt, throughout the balance of it.